Joy Guru to all brothers and mothers who have joined us on this auspicious occasion of Sri Thakur Onukul Chandra's holy 133rd birth celebration. We are now starting our third event of the day, which is Prajna. Prajna is an effort to enlighten all by sharing the experiences of various individuals with Sri Thakur and his teachings and ideologies. During this event, we have four individuals from different roles of life sharing their words of wisdom. So, without any further delay, let's start the program with Priyanka Roy Bormon from Toronto, Ontario, who is a single working woman and will speak to us about empowering women in the light of Sri Thakur.
Joy Guru to everyone. I would like to begin with a Vedic verse that goes, Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shanti Rupena Sangsthita. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sangsthita. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Matri Rupena Sangsthita. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Buddhi Rupena Sangsthita. Namastashvai 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 Namo Namaha. This ancient Hindu verse means the Devi, who is the divine epitome of womanhood, is the personification of the universal mother. She is the embodiment of power, peace, and intelligence in all beings. I worship her with all devotion so that she blesses me with happiness and prosperity. The Hindu tradition considers women as the vessels of Shakti, the power, which is the divine feminine, which is to be respected, to be revered. In the Bible, it is said, older women as mothers, younger women as sisters in all purity. In Islam, it is often considered that heaven lies under the feet of the mother. That is exactly what motivates me to talk about the topic I'm going to present today, which is empowering women in the light of Sri Thakur. Women's empowerment broadly refers to the process of increasing women's access to control over the strategic life choices that affect them and access to the opportunities that allow them to fully realize their capacities. Women's empowerment as an economic, political, and socio-cultural process challenges the system of sexual stratification that has resulted in women's subordination and marginalization in order to improve women's quality of life. And we indeed have some glorious examples around us of women marching ahead, uplifting herself and others. Be it the pop icon Madonna, who is known for pushing the boundaries of what was acceptable for women in the entertainment industry, or Serena Williams, who is unanimously hailed as the greatest female tennis player and maybe athlete of all time. The latest of them being Kamala Harris, who made history by being the first American Indian woman elected as the Vice President of the United States. Indeed, a commendable representation of the woman who is fearless, independent, vocal, and ambitious. But we must also understand that women's empowerment is related to the concept of gender. Gender is an ensemble of all the characteristics that not only talks about the hardcore attributes but also considers the softer side of it. Women empowerment should be the heart of human transformation to uplift one's own and others' being and becoming, to propagate life and growth for oneself and others. A woman's power equally lies in her kindness, compassion, care, nurture, and so on. Greatest example of such an empowered woman is Mother Teresa, who was an inspirational spiritual figure and served the society till her last breath. What about Sharodama, who was an absolute role model of womanhood? Our very beloved Sri Boroma, who is an epitome of an empowered wife and mother. Sri Thakur once said, Sri Boroma is the manifestation of Thakur decked up as a woman. This is the kind of importance and respect he showed to his beloved wife. In one of his letters, Thakur says to Boroma that he has nothing to teach her, as she is all-knowing and most caring. Rather, he has a lot to learn from her. The kind of love and respect Thakur had for his mother is another glaring example of revering and celebrating women. In the West, feminism in the 21st century seems to have morphed into something very distasteful. It is suddenly about man-hating, male bashing, a venomous entitlement driven identity politics. Activists are waging battles for higher treatment of women based on entitlement rather than merit. They deny considering the fact that men and women are different. They are not supposed to be the same. Each has their own existential purpose and marries perfectly into the other. They can be rightly called equitable, but never equal. In this pursuit of equality of income or outcome, we are observing a reversal of the gender balance when the women are becoming harder and the men softer and often ashamed of their inherent masculine power. And when a woman is forced to be the man, she is unable to be her true self. In contrast, when you look in the East, Indian women are an embodiment of Shakti, the power, at its highest elevation. Women in the West are struggling to find their divine feminine essence, while it is effortlessly manifested within Indian woman. An Indian woman proudly wears her femininity. Her real power lies in her vulnerability, beauty, softness, and sensuality. She knows that she does not need to give up who she is to be the person she wants to be. She is secure and does not feel the need to prove anything or to bring someone else down to validate her own self-worth. On this note, Thakur says, "And where the female follows man with a darling dish of nourishment, voice of vitality, influence of love, push for the ideal, tears of affection and sympathy, proclaiming with the blow of conch, run forward, in exhaustion, I am the shelter, I the rest and life, the arbor of love and refreshment." That is the characteristic of a woman. Shri Thakur analyzes the word woman from its Sanskrit version nari. According to him, the word nari has been derived from the root word nru, which means growth. Hence, the word nari means the one who nurtures and nourishes. A woman is she who helps in growth and development. He believes that a woman has an unimaginable contribution for the upliftment of human society. She plays a multidimensional role in different stages of her life, namely individual, conjugal, domestic, social, and national. A woman nurtures the society in various ways in the form of daughter, sister, wife, mother, and housekeeper. This way, she plays the most crucial role in the growth and development of the society and state. Therefore, Shri Thakur says, "Do never toss the females, rather be regardful, modest, and serviceable to them, because they are the mothers and nurturers of humanity, caress and solace in sufferings, the keen conscientious good of the people." In his perceived opinion, the woman is a manifestation of the all-resourceful goddess of wealth and the universal mother. Because the constant nurture, inspiration, service, care, love, affection, encouragement, and exaltation of a devoted wife enlivens the husband, making him invincible in the struggle for existence. The wife serves to enhance the husband's mental and physical strength, valor, longevity, and joy. In Shri Thakur's ideology, a concentric loving wife is just like the all-enduring earth who helps the husband in surmounting his existential roadblocks. Therefore, Shri Thakur views, through the wealth of her benign qualities, our dirty homes become transformed into holy, sweet, and beautiful sanctuaries of bliss, and our families turn to be so many paradises of peace when flows a perennial current of all-round progress. As far as unmarried women go, Thakur has empowered them with the right to choose their groom in his divine words when he says, "When a woman is capable of conceiving, nature endows her with the power of selecting her husband. And if she wants to select her husband according to her own wish, only then can she do so." In fact, when there are still instances of girls forcefully getting married at young age, or women surrendering to the institution of marriage unwillingly, only because her marriageable age is passing by, Thakur has bestowed upon us with a choice when he dictates, "If your attachment for ideal inspires you tremendously, if you cannot give anyone else a place in your heart, And if a maddening urge to establish that ideal in your environment and in the world has entirely captured you, then as I think, even without marriage, you can be more enlightened by enlightening others, living a pure and pious life. Shishi Thakur has dedicated an entire book for the woman called the Nari Niti or the Woman's Code. That itself speaks volumes about how important a woman is for the existence and growth of the family and the environment at large. How she can play a crucial role in the being and becoming. I consider myself a modern woman of today who is economically independent, progressive, outgoing, but at the same time, my empowerment should also reflect in my service, my way of conducting myself, thoughts, and words as prescribed by Thakur in the Woman's Code. As an empowered woman, I never shy away from practicing and propagating my Supreme Beloved's teachings and principles. The young generation sometimes feel if we perform jajan to our friends and contemporaries, we might sound old school, whereas we should wear our identity of being a satsangi like a crown. It must give you utmost bliss to present him at large like we generally feel when we show off a new phone or a car to our close ones, as he is our biggest asset. I have never felt that Thakur's teachings and principles ever came in my way of modernity or progress. Rather, he is the one who has bestowed upon me whatever I am today. Some may perceive that religious organization always means orthodox beliefs and conventional mindset. Hence, my friends warned me when I told them that I am moving to Canada and I would like to pay my visit to Thakurbari in Devghar before I leave. They said, what if they stop you because you're a single woman traveling abroad? I smiled at them and said, if they deem right for me to stay back, it will be for my own best. And I shall respect it without a speck of doubt. That visit to Devghar was the biggest example of empowering a woman to me. Reverend Babai Dada was delighted to hear the news and guided me with such a practical approach like one would do to a man. He advised me to mature my hands at driving, to be the best at what I do, and do as much Thakur's work as possible. When I narrated my experience to my friends, they were shocked by the progressive approach and were bound to accept that the narrow-mindedness was indeed in their thoughts. Today, I feel privileged to present myself and my views in a global platform like this amidst so many learned and significant members of the Satsang family. These too makes me feel empowered as I'm able to speak my mind without any gender shackles. Self-awareness and spiritual empowerment hold the key to freedom and raising the status of women in the society. Economic independence and financial security that comes with it undoubtedly imparts self-confidence to a woman. However, if the woman is not well equipped with self-awareness and an ideal-centric environment, it is difficult to sustain the confidence that comes with good education and a good job. Complexes will keep haunting us. This is the reason why it is not uncommon to find well-qualified and well-educated women holding powerful jobs, weakening and losing their self-esteem when faced with a difficult mother-in-law at home or an unreasonable employer at work. Spirituality is all about awakening the consciousness that we all humans have been gifted with. The consciousness that an ideal-centric life provides us to recognize the truth about self, about the relationship of self with the people and the nature around. I would like to conclude with an urge to all the empowered women out there to come ahead and contribute to Thakur's work shoulder to shoulder with the men. Strive towards making this world a better place. The prime factor in satsang is the untottering adherence of the individual to the ideal. Thakur longs for each to fulfill, protect, and nurture him with service and acquisition in a concord with the environment, so that every being, by dint of his own labor, may keep his own existence intact and expanding, and so move upward on the eternal road of evolution. Then no man will ever feel that he is helpless, shelterless, or poverty stricken. Then every individual can say with head raised high and shoulders squared, I am everyone's and everyone belongs to me. Let us contribute towards his glorious vision as women, as the carriers of power, because empowered voice matters. Joy Guru.
Thank you, Priyankama. Your words today have been truly inspiring to us. I sincerely hope that for our viewers today, you have opened up a new way to view the role of woman. You certainly have done so for me. Thank you. Now, we will move on to our next speaker, Tuhin Dash from Montreal, Quebec, who is a student at McGill University. He will speak to us regarding being and becoming in the pursuit of knowledge and truth.
Jai Guru everyone. Today, I'll take this opportunity to talk on the quest of truth and knowledge by praying to the holy feet of the Lord, Sri Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra, and to our Holy Mother, Sri Sri Barma, and to every respective person belonging to the Holy Thakur family. For today's discussion, I'll mostly focus on some of the aspects from Suttanusaran, Sri Sri Thakur's handwritten scripture. As we all know, Sattvanusaran is the pursuit of truth. Therefore, it is important here to define what is truth, or what truth really means to me. Well, I think there could be two categories of truth. One is the contemporary truth, which changes with time. For instance, our very existence could be related to this category of truth. Analogically, it could be also thought of as knowledge or information. On the other side, there is the absolute truth, or pure wisdom, which is beyond time and timeless, one which never changes. It has always been there and could be perceived as the sun that never sets or rises. And Sattvanusaran is the very preamble to realize it, written by the Lord himself. Now, the process of realization of this truth might not be as straightforward as I'm trying to explain here, but that doesn't mean one should give up trying. And that is why Thakur is saying, quote unquote, I will say it in Bengali first, so that the very essence of it remains intact. Thakur says, হোটে যাওয়াটা বরং দুর্বলতা নয় কো, কিন্তু চেষ্টা না করাটাই দুর্বলতা। তুমি কোনো কিছু করতে প্রাণপণে চেষ্টা করা সত্ত্বেও যদি বিফল মনোরথ হও, ক্ষতি নাই, তুমি ছেড়ো না, ওই অম্লান চেষ্টাই তোমাকে মুক্তির পথে নিয়ে যাবে। That is, in summary, it says, if we try to do something with our whole being, it will lead to moksha or liberation. This is such a powerful saying, which is not only limited to the above context, but can be extended to every sphere of our life. As a strong believer of doing, Thakur has always encouraged us to do first and set an example. Because by making an effort to do something, we gather experiences. And experiences lead to realization and ultimately wisdom. In this context, Thakur says, wisdom can be gained through realization. Knowledge and wisdom are instrumental in empowering our mind and can bring peace to it. They can also help us to get rid of confusion and chaos. Currently, I am doing a PhD. As some of you might have already experienced, that PhD is quite an unconventional or unique journey. I say it unique because it is a journey of your own, where you are given a problem to work on, to master. Of course, there will be some people to help you or guide you through this journey, but most of the time, you'll be walking alone down the road, which makes it a little scary sometimes, to be honest. But there's a positive side to it as well. Because when you walk alone, and if we're willing enough to spare a little of our imagination and time, it gives us an opportunity to think critically, question things, and also to perceive some of the intricacies of this world or universe. I realized Thakur is there. His profound wisdom is there to navigate me through this challenging journey. For instance, in very simple words, in the Satyanusaran, the Lord is saying, when the mind is absorbed completely in conceiving anything thoroughly, it is called deep meditation or samadhi. To remain engaged in any single thought and to feel that which distracts but cannot break our continuity is dhyan or meditation. And finally, the ideas and activities that lead man towards the cause are spiritualism. Thus, we can see Thakur has shared the wisdom with us by simply stating the methods. And if we believe and work on them, they can come alive. All the approaches can raise our consciousness and help us to focus on our goals. As a strong encourager of science and reasoning, Thakur has advised us to keep ourselves absorbed in higher thoughts and activities, such as the investigation into the science of creation, mathematics, and chemistry. Since our minds seldom remain in a thoughtless state, and therefore if we cultivate the laws of nature through sciences, it will not only improve our society and world, but it will also help us to control our passions and complexes. It is true that science and spirituality are two different aspects and approaches, but they often cross paths with one another. For example, both of them seek for the truth and are so vast and rich that they almost have no beginning or end. Both are excellent teachers and enrich us through the journey of our life. Thus, exercising science or spirituality can enlighten us more, make us more tolerant and less judgmental. I'll also try to take you through another aspect very quickly. While talking about acceptance and tolerance, Thakur says, contraction is dejection, expansion is delight. So what is contraction and expansion? Of course, when Thakur says contraction and expansion, he refers to the contraction and expansion of our mind. We all know that we are a part of the cosmos and a tiny speck in the infinite universe, but we seldom realize it. The universe is just enormous and expanding, which our mind could ever capture. The diameter of the observable universe is around 93 billion light years. And 1 light year is the distance traversed by light in 1 year at a speed of 300,000 kilometers per second, approximately saying. Therefore, if we make an attempt to calculate the diameter of the universe, just using our common calculators, it might fall short in memory. Thus, it is needless to say we are very, very small compared to the universe. We all have our own problems and challenges. Some are big, some are small. And if we are so tiny with respect to this universe, so are our problems. And maybe thinking in this way can make us more peaceful and economous. But we should not forget that we are still a part of this wonderful universe, which makes us special because it can make us feel more inclusive, make us more grateful to the mother nature, make us more benevolent to other plant and animal species, ultimately resulting in the expansion or elevation of our mind and consciousness. Consequently, an elevated mind can further create a more peaceful, delightful, and prosperous world to live in. And that is what Thakur wants for us. Having said that, I'd like to end my speech here by praying to the holy feet of the Lord. Jai Guru, Vande Purushottam.
Wonderfully said, Tuhinda. Thank you for enlightening us today regarding Srisi Thakur's ideology on knowledge and truth. It's my understanding that we all believe that having a teacher to guide us in any field is invaluable. Personally, I find that Srisi Thakur is the ultimate teacher in my life, and I can only hope that many more will find peace in his name. Today, our next speaker is Ipshita Dash from Toronto, Ontario. She is a new mother and she will be speaking to us about being and becoming towards a wife and mother.
Joy Guru to everyone. Today I'm going to speak about being and becoming a wife and a mother. There's a famous saying that goes, "The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world." Lovers of history will have to agree that a woman who spends most of her time at home influencing her family definitely is a powerful woman. We have mothers from around the world throughout the pages of history who have influenced kingdoms and ruled from beside the cradle. There are women who completely helped shape and mold their child's ministry by tirelessly teaching them scriptures and doctrines, like Susanna Wesley. What about Queen Esther, who through temperance, bravery, and kindness influenced her husband to save an entire race of people? There is another which we would all like to consider is the heroine from Bible, Abigail, who convinced a powerful, strong army of men to stop in their tracks and retreat from their mission to inflict massacre. With all these examples, I can only believe this, that the most rewarding and hardest jobs in the world is to be a traditional homemaker and a mother. One would think, with the way some people react, that we homemakers are an endangered species. Well, that's not true actually. There's a quite bit of us out there, and it seems that homemaking is making a comeback among younger women. Among these women, as I say, there is a sense of nostalgia for the time when things were simpler and the importance of a homemaker was not only understood, it was celebrated. There is an exciting movement of millennial women who are choosing to stay home with their husbands, kids, and run the household. They are recreating what it means to be a housewife. Well, if you go by the dictionary meaning of a housewife or a homemaker, that would say it's a helper of husband. I very proudly accept that because I love being support of my husband, and equally love being involved in my son's life, 100%. It's more of a personal choice. I'm a convent educated woman who is humbled to have a progressive upbringing. Not bragging about myself, just to uh, keep some facts here. As I already said, I'm a convent educated woman. I have had a bachelor's degree. I have three postgraduate diploma degrees. And I have also worked in one of the best and biggest banks in India. Some people think I am damn crazy, but they might have their own point. But I don't at all take it that way. People think, why am I not encashing my education? But education is not just about encashing. It's there is a lot more beyond that. You know, I have thoroughly enjoyed my share of professional achievement, and when I was getting married, it was my conscious decision from my end to focus on my home, my marriage, and my husband. I quite believe that I'm not much of a multitasker. I prefer to focus on one thing at a time. So, post marriage, my decision was to give my 100% to it, and that is my proud beginning of being a homemaker. Shri Shri Thakur too has said in Nari Niti that your first and foremost duty is to do in service those things by which those on whom the family into which you have come depend may remain physically and mentally healthy, strong, and confident. And your second duty is to the others with whom you are living in the family. And your third essential duty is to the environment in which your family is living. As far as possible, do not violate this rule. You will be honored and happy. That's true. That has happened in my case, at least. I was never much an atheist, but I was not very spiritual either. In my early life. At one point in my life, I my studies were getting hampered, and then is when I started following and believing in Sai Baba. But there wasn't any system like getting initiated and taking it forward formally. Um, so years went by, and though I only got initiated after my marriage, my marriage in 2017. I was married in 2016, but I got initiated in 2017. But I am actually a third generation satsangi. My paternal grandfather and my parents were already devout followers of Sri Sri Thakur. Throughout my growing up days and adulthood, my parents used to tell me various tales of Sri Sri Thakur's mercy and benevolence, about his dictations and literatures, with which always intrigued me. My father used to tell me how Sri Sri Thakur has given a wise choice to women to choose appropriate grooms for themselves, keeping in mind the right parameters. I was moved by his teachings and principles. I used to watch my parents sit together and do the evening prayers. And somewhere in my mind, I painted a dream of sitting with my partner and sing to the tunes of Joy Radhe. As much as it sounds dreamy, I think this pushed me a lot to grow closer and closer to Thakur's ideology. However, after coming to know more and more about Thakur's teachings and principles, I felt the urge to lead an ideal centric life, to get officially connected with my ideal, to be more committed to it. After marriage, I thought a holy initiation would make my life more disciplined and organized. I'm a person of logic and reason. So I discussed thoroughly with my husband about my decision to get initiated, and he totally respected that fact. And I went ahead and finally I got initiated. And now me and my husband are both blessed to be under his supreme guidance, and we could not be happier. But of course, there are differences between all every one of us. Um, and the differences create problems when the differences stays together. Yes, I'm talking about me and my husband, of course. So there were differences in thoughts, and we both are logic and reason driven. So we had arguments over random things, and arguments are never peaceful, right? And so we would always focus on making our points uh, more understandable or genuine or right rather. But I would seriously take this opportunity to tell out there that after following Thakur's principles, I am far more patient now, and with a lot of respect, I have come to this point where I can accept my husband's differences from my end. And this, I think, has is the best thing that has happened in my life as a wife. So, Thakur gave, so much importance to the role of wife and mother that itself speaks volume about the role of a homemaker. Shishi Borma being the biggest epitome of wifehood and motherhood. In Thakur's words, when your adherence, love, feeling, and devotion, being uh, delighted, make your husband aglow with existence, exalting nature and health, and make him inclined to you, that is the real sign that you will become the mother of an honest, healthy, bright child. There is no doubt. And the purpose behind sacrifices, oblations, and rituals prescribed in the scriptures for having good children is nothing but this. Oh, well, that's so true. Recently, I have been going through some medical complications, and with a toddler around, life gets so disoriented and so disorganized. I just cannot say it enough. Everybody who has children, like little ones, I am sure you are able to understand what I'm talking about. But I feel Thakur gives me so much courage to still pull the show today. I am fighting and I will keep doing this so until the battle is won. Thakur said that a wife who makes her husband's life glory and growth swells up on the path of progress, who allows no agitation to interfere with growth, sympathy, establishment in the environment, service, attendance, help, and support, who keeps her own life, glory, and growth intact, and thus becomes established in one, and all in her true wifehood has become meaningful. If you have been born a woman, embrace this true wifehood and be full of meaning and make individual and world so. So be it. No matter how difficult in the time uh, this I am into or how sickly I feel, I try to do my Ishtovritti and prayer timingly because I truly feel that if I am not genuine in my efforts, I can't expect the return to be genuine. Not that I'm doing this only to get something in return, but as I said, to discipline my life overall. Thakur, too, in his holy book Satyanusaran, has said that just try wholeheartedly to be genuine. Does the university honor anyone with a degree unless he has studied and passed? Um, so rightly said. Um, Motherhood has made me more patient and selfless. It probably does to everybody, but I have been a patient of slip disc, and I was always warned that pregnancy could make it worse for me. However, when I conceived, by grace of Thakur, slip disc never bothered me, as everyone predicted. And I think a lot many time in satsangs I have mentioned this. Uh, it's a great achievement. Though I had other issues like extreme morning sickness and GD, gestational diabetes, but slip disc, which everyone thought would be the worst influence, did not mess up with my pregnancy at all. This in itself is his mercy. I try to imbibe Thakur's value in my child. Thakur said, never do anything in front of your children which may in any way cause damage to their devotion and attachment to you. Any disruption or their urge towards you means both suffering for you and danger to them. Though he's too little, he's just 20 months now. But I still, I can already see him respond when my husband and I sing to the prayers, or when we bow down to offer our respect to our beloved Lord. He too tries to imitate the posture. At the end of the day, a child only learns from its parents, or it is very important that as a mother, I conduct myself appropriately so that he can learn. He has the best teachings. Thakur has rightly said, a lot of training and a lot of discipline does not and cannot make a child an effective adult if the mother does not implant the basic foundations of his or her life, keeping them sound in a useful form. If you want to make your child into a person, adjust his or her defects to a useful form. What you do with your child between the ages of 5 and 10 regulates his whole life. You may be sure. My efforts will be always will be aligned to the same. Lastly, I would like to conclude by quoting one of Thakur's dictation from Nari Niti, where he says, "Therefore, the first and foremost requirement in all culturing of dharma is superior, beloved, ideal, or guide. To become a true follower of dharma requires devotion to him, following him, and behaving in accordance with him, while maintaining such a character that this devotion or attachment creates an impulse in husband and family which awakens and inspires them. When this happens, you will see your wifehood is fulfilled. You will be shining brightly and making others shine." That's the end from my side. Thank you. Jai Guru.
Whoa, Ipshitama, you've truly explained your point with such incredible ease. Truly marvelous. Thank you for your illuminating words of wisdom regarding being and becoming towards a wife and mother. I can only hope that you continue to find glory in His name and in turn continue to enlighten us in the future. Our last speaker for this program is going to be Yusuf Khan from Toronto, Ontario. And as a follower of Islam, he will speak to us about Susi Thakur's ideology that God is for all, there are no compartments.
Jai Guru to everyone. Sri Thakur has said, God is for all, prophets are for all, no compartment. But they are the fulfillers of all compartments in their equity. To create ism is the satanic dissuasion of people from unity, the God. This is the primary essence of my discussion today. Some of you might have already guessed from my last name that I come from a different faith. But if we look at it closely, it really depends on how we perceive it. I might be very different from many of you if you identify me by my name, but when we identify ourselves as satsangis, we have the same father figure above us. Perspectives play a very important role when we talk about interfaith harmony. I came across a very interesting fact that the United Nations observed the World Interfaith Harmony Week during the first week of February. That speaks volume about how much we need this in today's scenario, where people are still judged by their religion rather than parameters like qualification, personality, intentions, and so on. Wars are waged to destroy the secular peace and harmony. Brothers fighting brothers, abuses hurled, hundreds and thousands of lives lost in the religious tug of war. They forget that there is still a Ram in the word Rahim and vice versa. Contrary to all these differences and animosity, our supreme beloved Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra is one such man, the magnetic charm and aura of whose simple yet gorgeous personality has drawn millions towards him. He has denied no time-tested ancient and traditional wisdom, but presented them in a sugar coating of irrefutable reason from deep scientific aspects, making them conducive to present needs. He has not only sieved out the problems throttling our existence, but has also offered solutions. People, irrespective of caste, color, creed, and religion, have during his lifetime and after found in him the nearest fulfilling companion of their lives. The beauty here lies in the fact that we do not bond with each other based on our last names, but by the fact that we are Guru brothers and Guru mothers. There is no identity crisis here, where you are covered by the protective shield of the loved Lord. I would like to refer from an article I came across which made absolute sense to today's topic. A new era began with Sri Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra. A new ideology was born. The ideology had continuity with the past, what is called eternal. And at the same time, it also had elements which are of contemporary relevance, socio-political, economic, and scientific, and therefore those were new. The ideology overall definitely had a new look, new spirit, new temper, new attraction, altogether a renovated package. Some such features of Sri Thakur's ideology are clarity of concept, scientific temper, universal applicability, above the prevailing parochial considerations like bias, superstitions, etc. Everything put together, the ideology was radical, out to bring about a transformation in the person, family, and society. Striking feature of Sri Sri Thakur's ideology is that it attempted to bring out and highlight the similarity amongst all religions in essence and in philosophy. This is a revolutionary step. Sri Sri Thakur attempted to bring out commonality and similarity in scriptures like Gita, Bible, and Quran. His attempt was to bring out the essence of all religions and to show to the world that it is the same eternal principle of life and growth. Secondly, Sri Sri Thakur attempted to bring out the fact that all the prophets are the same. Expression and manifestation of one God appeared in different times. Mission is same and for the whole humanity. No prophet takes care of only one segment of humanity and excludes some other sections. No prophet said to raise a wall between and amongst religions. This aspect of oneness of all past prophets has been a truism that Sri Sri Thakur wanted hard to bring home. He even said and demonstrated in his life that each successive prophet fulfills all the past prophets. Each successive prophet is an updated version of the previous prophet, and therefore there is absolutely no scope for differences. And the possibility of dispute is the least. In Islam, we believe in the 5 pillars, namely Kalma, Namaz, Roza, Hajj, and Zakat. Let's do a comparative analysis. When I offer Ishtivati to Thakur, I feel like I am offering Zakat. Zakat is when you dedicate a certain portion of your earnings in the name of the Lord. Ishtivati also means offering oblation in the name of the Lord. Do you find any difference? You won't. We have various Islamic scripts and literatures which we read to know our roots better. If we come to think about Jajan, it translates to the self-exaltation that invokes spiritual awakening and instills spiritual consciousness. Jajan is the same as listening to kalmas and other Islamic literature, whereby you get to understand your religion better. Though I am too new for Jajan, I feel it's the same as praising your Lord and letting people know more about His mercy and benevolence. The same way it's done in any religion. Naam and Dhyan circles around the line of namaz, where your whole focus is on the Lord and you offer your prayers. So, I feel there's actually no difference between my natural identity and Thakur's principles and practices. This is how I see Rasul's teachings in the teachings of Thakur, and they are one and the same to me. You might have heard that before. Namaz, it's mandatory that we clean ourselves, which is exactly what Thakur's Sadachar talks about. To have a clean body, mind, and heart. It all depends on how you look at it. If looked closely, we will see that though the ways might be many, the destination is the same. Thakur has always said how different previous prophets came and said the same things time and again. The difference is in our mind, not in their teachings. After my initiation, I have realized that dharma is nothing but to live and grow, to be and become, and that Sri Sri Thakur is not about conversion but convergence. Conversion is not admitted by Sri Sri Thakur. This aspect of Sri Sri Thakur's view is worth elucidating in the backdrop of huge disturbances currently erupting in different parts of the world on this issue. This view of Sri Sri Thakur, that there will not be a convert in his disciples, is a radical departure from the practices observed in other established religions. In Sri Sri Thakur's view, one believer will accept Sri Sri Thakur as Guru and follow Sri Sri Thakur's principles. But that is not a reason for him to forsake his religion, whichever he or she is born into. That means a Muslim by birth can accept Sri Sri Thakur and practice his principles, still he or she will remain a Muslim. Similarly, a Christian can follow Sri Sri Thakur's principles and yet he or she will remain a Christian. Sri Sri Thakur never wanted a change of natural identity, biological, cultural, or religious affiliation. In Islam Prasanga, when somebody asks Thakur what the solution to the clash between the Hindus and the Muslims is, Thakur very simplistically answers this, that there is no clash or difference. There cannot be any difference between those who believe in life and growth. Hindus would generally offer prayers in temples, Muslims in mosques, Christians in churches, and so on. However, something that moved me about Sri Sri Thakur is the fact that we satsangis can sit under the same roof and sing Bar Bar Karo Vinti or flow in the divinity of Jai Radhe without the slightest feel of diversity. This is exactly the societal setup we need in the present day scenario, where we start believing that my bowl of rice is your bowl of rice. You are well, so I am well. When some of my Muslim friends came to know that I have accepted Sri Sri Thakur as my idol, they had a lot of questions in their mind. I do not blame them. It's just the mindset they have been brought up in or live around. In Islam, we believe in the power of Allah, who is shapeless, formless, genderless. My friends argued that accepting someone as a living idol can be a contradiction to this. I explained to them that Allah is still great for me, and I wholeheartedly believe in the power. But in life, you also need someone in flesh and blood who directs you, guides you, shows you the right way, just like our parents and teachers. One whom you can see, feel, and get inspired from. And Thakur is that living idol for me, who anchors my life. Thakur says, Hindu Dharma, Christian Dharma, Mohammedan Dharma, Buddhist Dharma, etc. are wrong. Rather, there are so many views. In fact, there is no opposition on the views. Different views, the same way, feeling one in many forms. In the Bible, Jesus himself has mentioned regarding restoring the principles and traits of past prophets. Think not that I came to destroy the law or the teachings of the prophets. I come not to destroy, but to fulfill. Even in the Quran, it has been said on similar grounds. As for those who believe in God and His messengers and make no distinctions among them, He will grant them their recompenses. God is forgiver, most merciful. And lastly, in Sri Sri Thakur's words, God is one, Dharma is one, prophets are the same, servers of the one. We must start believing in the fact that organically we are all His creations. We are the same. The distinctions are just man-made and not the words of the Lord. Standing today, if we wish to know and understand what Lord Rama or Lord Krishna or Prophet Muhammad or Jesus Christ conveyed, then we get their voice in Sri Sri Thakur's words. Many of the apparent contradictions in religious practices were resolved by Sri Sri Thakur by unraveling their true meaning and context. He, in fact, would tell what the intended meaning of the sayings of Gita, Bible, and Quran is by the respective authors and how the meaning in course of time has suffered distortion. After coming under his supreme guidance, I have started respecting and knowing my natural religion more strongly. In Islam Prasanga, when someone asks Thakur how to be a pure Muslim, Thakur says he does not understand any ism. If a Muslim believes in the Allah, follows the Rasul, and if he thinks by following Thakur's principles, life will be yet more complete and more fulfilled, then he must go on fulfilling his teachings and principles. He must act towards establishing life and growth of oneself and his environment. That is exactly what I try to practice now. To conclude, I would say that religious affiliations by birth are no barriers for a progressive living. By following Sri Sri Thakur's ideology, following him does not signify getting into any religious cult or into a regimented order. Following Sri Sri Thakur means to adopt an ideological framework that invites and spurs all-round well-being of a person along with family and society. I would say that Sri Sri Thakur's ideology is liberal and secular. His way of life can be a befitting reply to religious radicalism and communal disharmony. Jai Guru.
Thank you, Yusufda, for presenting Thakur's teachings in such an eloquent manner. Thakur has actually never asked us to give up on our religion, but he has taught us the ways by which to lead a meaningful and fulfilling life while remaining faithful to our own religions. And I can only hope to continue to hear more from you on the various teachings of Sri Thakur. On that note, we have now come to the very end of Prajna. I hope that everyone present here today have enjoyed our attempt to present the words of wisdom from the different roles of life in relation to our Sri Thakur's ideologies. And I pray to the lotus feet of our loved Lord for your health and happiness. Our next program will be Saralya, which starts at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. During Saralya, over 25 plus children from all over Canada will participate. So don't forget to tune in. Joy Guru.